We made it, guys. We made it. If you're watching this, it means that I have done tried doing an intro now 5 times because I've either made myself laugh or I managed to somehow make myself sound stupid. So here he is, fifth and final take. But it's the 1 year anniversary of the podcast, of me uploading videos to my channel of the show, however we like to view it. So I thought, why not make a 1 year anniversary special, just celebrating it? I don't have like decorations. Well, I don't have decorations and I don't have like things to kind of full on celebrate. But what we do have here is just root beer, which is one of my favorite drinks. So we'll just drink that maybe throughout this video as celebration stuff. But here we are, 1 year of the Ace for Waves podcast. To all who have maybe either watched videos or listened to them on Spotify, whatever, I truly appreciate all the support and stuff. I've talked a little bit about this on a previous Coffee Talk episode, but kind of the origin of the podcast, how it came to be. It all started with an idea that I had when I went to my professor just to see if I could test the waters out of doing a podcast and just starting kind of my own channel. And so we kind of talked it through a little bit. She gave me some tips and some advice on kind of where to start, how to start, what I wanted the main center of it to be. Sports has sports has been very much involved in my life. I grew up with brothers, so I had the exposure to the sports at a young age. My family's always kind of been big into either watching sports. My brothers played a variety of sports growing up, so I would go to all their sporting events to cheer them on. That's how I kind of became more equated and more involved in that. So I wanted to kind of pay homage to my roots, but also there's a lot of content in the sports world. Going to school as a journalism major, taking sports journalism classes and just journalism classes in general, I'm gaining more knowledge and more understanding of that world. The sports world is full of many opportunities. And trust me, there is lots to talk about, not just in sports, but globally as well. So I wanted to try to dig into that a little bit more here too. I haven't dug into it as much as I would have liked to up until this point. So that might be what my main focus will be for the rest of the year. I still have to keep into consideration that I am a student first, and that will always come first. I'm going to school to get my degree. I'm going to school to learn and to be educated. And that's the number one priority. And then there's also work. There's also extra curricular activities as well. So this here, my channel, my podcast is like fourth or fifth on my list of priorities. So it's not what I'm focusing my whole life to at the moment, but it's still something whenever I find time, if I have downtime, if I like to plan ahead, and then I can just upload videos onto my channel that are pre-recorded without worrying whether or not it's going to interfere with my schoolwork and my other activities as well. I can breathe a sigh of relief there, but also I'm doing this completely on my own. So that means I have full reign and full control of what I want to record, when I want to record, and when I want to upload. There's no restrictions when it comes to that, which I find to be very relaxing and I find very stress free, knowing that there's no expectations on me whatsoever. I can do whatever I want and how I like to do it. That's one thing when I've watched videos in the past before and when I've listened to podcasts, there are some people who have a whole team behind them. That's great when you can have someone who is producing content, when you have someone kind of directing the content as well, putting together content too, so you don't have to worry about that on your own. That's great. And I'm sure that takes a big chunk of stress and workload off of people's shoulders. So I recognize that, and that I'm sure feels great. But for someone like me who's doing it completely on my own, it can get a little stress free when I have to look at what I want to talk about. Sometimes I do written layouts, so I'll write out exactly what I want to say. I have main points, I have points of emphasis, I have background information as well. So it's almost like I'm reading off of a script. Sometimes when I know if it's a main episode that's structured around one specific topic that needs explaining, that needs background information, research, etc. But other times it's just fully improvised, kind of like what I'm doing right now. A lot of my coffee talks are improvised. Saturday specials occasionally are improvised. And I think that's about it. I do a few main episodes that are improvised as well, but for the main part, it's all just fully talking here, fully talking to you guys. So, but on the topic of the 1 year anniversary, I'll kind of take you through some of my favorite videos I've made the past year now, what I look forward to in the future, and maybe a video that I don't know, I feel most proud of, I guess. I don't really know how these things work, but I'm gonna take another drink of celebratory root beer. But some of my favorite episodes, I'll give my top 3 favorite episodes that I have physically uploaded to the channel. We'll do a starting point there. I think this is in no particular order, by the way. So I'll say one video that's one of my favorites is the Super Bowl 58 preview video. That's, I think, the second video that I ever uploaded. And it's a video that I did with my brother, Michael, when he came to visit me here. I wanted to do an episode with him, kind of paying homage once again to someone who kind of got me into the sports world and the sports realm. But it was also it was the day before Super Bowl 58. So we could talk about the Super Bowl together. We had both watched the Super Bowl growing up in the past. So it felt like a nice conversation between siblings. And it is one of my favorites because he was my first ever guest. He was my first ever real kind of podcasty type video. I know my first one was just the Waste Management Open college basketball. That was fun too, but it felt like my first podcasty type stuff, having a guest on, talking about once again, having that written layout out of points of emphasis, main points, background information, some context. We all did our research too. And I got to credit him as a producer for that episode, which felt very fulfilling because even though he was technically a guest, he came with his own research and he produced some of the content that you saw in that video. So I credited him as a producer, which felt great for me to do. It felt like my brother had some, he brought something to the table, and I could recognize and I could celebrate that from my own producing standpoint as well. When I'm producing videos, I'm producing the content too. So that's one of my favorite episodes. And besides, we talked quite a long time about Super Bowl 58. and what he said, I think, just flowed really back and forth between the two of us. So there's one favorite. I think my second favorite video that I have is a video where I talked about in a Saturday special is Iowa State Final Four contenders. And I did this around the time that March Madness was about to happen or going to happen. It might have been 2 weeks prior to March Madness or something like that. Well, that's my second favorite video because I got to talk about my favorite college basketball team, which is the Iowa State Cyclones. And no, I'm not a bandwagon. The Cyclones have been my favorite team since childhood, growing up in a Cyclone family. But talking about kind of their season up until that point, dictating whether or not they could be Final Four contenders, analyzing their style of play, and looking at their opponents in there too. That's probably the most research that I had done for a video till that point, was looking at numbers, looking at data, looking at analytics, and then formatting it in a way that made sense to the audience and in a way that made sense for me too. It's one of the episodes where I truly felt like I had produced something that was worthy of sharing. And it's something that I am proud of. I haven't done as much research to that extent since then. And that's something that I might try to focus on more and throughout the year or whatever part of the year I have left. It is technically February, so I still have 10 months to do something. But I'd say that's my favorite because it's the one that I put a lot of work into. And it's one video that did see good viewership and good success. And then my third favorite video, I think, would have to be a coffee talk that I did, which is the coffee talk and growing up throughout school. I'd say that is my third favorite episode because it was just me. It wasn't me talking about sports. It wasn't me talking about college basketball or my favorite teams. It was just me and my experience through school up until that point. So you kind of got to see a glimpse of the person that I usually am when I'm not speaking to a camera, that kind of stuff. So that was really cool. It did feel a little bit nerve-wracking and a little bit scary sharing that kind of stuff. But again, I got through those nerves and had the courage to do that, which it didn't see as much of a success, I think, compared to other videos, but it's something that I wanted to try and do and ended up doing anyways. So there are some top 3 favorite episodes I have. Honorable mentions, I think, would be my segment that I started midway through the NFL season, which was bold predictions. I know it didn't get a lot of views, but it's still something that I had fun doing, where I tried to predict the NFL games and their outcomes. I had a lot of fun doing it and looking at teams' records and standings, kind of talking about why I thought a particular team would win. So that was fun. And then coffee talks too are pretty fun for me, which I would say is another honorable mention because I'm not worried about sounding a certain way and worrying about researching stuff and making sure the facts are right. Coffee talks are literally me with a coffee or a drink talking to a video about something that I like. So it's a little less stress inducing compared to when I'm doing either main episodes, when I'm doing Saturday specials, or even something like my life advice segments where I give life advice. I still have some research or I have some facts to back up the points that I want to make. So there's some honorable mentions. I forgot what else I was going to say about the 1 year anniversary. Stuff that I look forward to putting out more. I don't know how consistent I'm going to be. Because, like I said, there's a bunch of other stuff that requires my time first and foremost. But I know I want to try to be a little bit more consistent with main episodes, putting those episodes out, not necessarily in a timely fashion, but keeping up with all the sports trends and the sports news. I think I'm going to try to focus more around main episodes now. I want to try to do some new segments too. I think I recorded one new segment a couple months ago that just never saw the light of day. Who knows if I'll put that video out if I need it as a placeholder or something. But you'll still get coffee talks from me. You'll still get Saturday specials. We'll still have some A+ life advice stuff and maybe the new segment to kind of replace my bold predictions thing that started. And then you also just might get random videos from me of something that I want to record and upload if I deem it worthy of it making onto the channel. So there's some stuff that you guys can kind of look forward to. And I I really have nothing else more to say other than the fact that if you've watched videos, if you've listened to videos, whatever you've done, I can't thank you guys enough for watching, listening, supporting. It means the world. And to celebrate 1 year of the podcast, how far I think we've come from the first episode up until right now, which is literally me rambling and trying to find a good stopping point. But in all seriousness, this has truly been a very special project of mine that I've gotten to work on. I love doing it. I love kind of overcoming some of my internal fears by talking just directly to a camera. There's no other people around. It's just me, the camera, and then other viewers whenever I upload. So we are 1 year down. Here's to another, hopefully, fantastic year. And I'll catch you guys when I upload next. Bye, guys. It's been fun. I look forward to doing this even more.